Hello listeners and viewers, welcome to the first ever episode of Clueless Otaku, the series where I, a completely clueless person, talk about anime. I am completely insane. Well yes, since this is the pilot episode, I better explain what the hell this thing is you're actually watching and what I intend to do. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if people like this episode, I will make more episodes and so on. But what the hell is this thing? Well, for a long time I've been meaning to do some sort of video that covers the world of anime in some way, or even do a series. But for the longest time I haven't been able to really do anything viable, mainly because my recollections and knowledge of the subject has for a very long time been quite limited. A lot of my friends are huge anime fans, and I've been meaning to try and join in with their discussions and stuff they've been having, but a lot of the time, a lot of the stuff they talk about goes over my head, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat as me. Like, that people I want to try and get involved with the anime community, or try and watch anime videos in some description to talk about them in some way, but haven't been able to because it's just not knowing where to start, and it's quite daunting and all that other stuff. So hopefully this series serves as as an introduction to people who, just like me, are complete anime novices, shall we say, don't know an awful lot about the subject, but maybe via watching me talking about something I've watched, or maybe discussing anime in general from my perspective, maybe you'll find a way into the subject, or maybe not, or maybe just want to listen to what I have to say. It's entirely up to you. So hence why I'm calling this Clueless Otaku, because I am a completely clueless person when it comes to anime. I'll be using layman's terms on, compared to this isn't like a professional anime review or anything like that. I will be reviewing stuff, I will be just discussing things as best as I can, but it will be, again, all the stuff I'll be talking about will be anime or manga from a outsider's perspective, a person who hasn't really watched any animes for quite a long time, but is only just recently getting back into it, and maybe by watching this video, some of you guys might find a means to get into the realm of that quite daunting realm of anime on your own terms. But hopefully we'll see how things work out. So I think, since this is the first episode, this is the pilot episode, I think this would be a good chance for me to talk about what are my experiences with anime and manga, and then at the end I'll do a review of what I've been watching very recently. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Well, the last time I really properly watched an anime was probably around, in just a bit of context for you, about early 2000s. That's when we still had satellite TV and stuff, and anime used to be stuff like Dragon Ball Z and Card Captors. I used to watch that quite a lot when I was a kid. At the time I didn't know they were called animes. All I knew was that I really enjoyed them. I like Goku firing lasers at Frieza, and Card Captor Sakura, with the magical book of cards and stuff. That was a really cool show. I didn't know they were called animes. All I know, those are cartoons, and I really enjoyed them. And then after a while, I think after I watched them for about a couple of years, I still really enjoyed them. But after about a couple of more years, say around 2005, 2006, around that time, that's when we got rid of Sky Television, the satellite that we used to have years ago, because it was far too expensive. And at that time anyway, my interests were changing. I didn't really watch cartoons as much. I started veering away into the realm of video games, but now recently I've started going back again, which is really bizarre. So I've started regressing backwards. But around that time I was going into video games, and I didn't really watch any animes since then, really, for a very, very long time. It's only very recently, in the last probably about a year or so, where anime has sort of cropped back into my radar via the means of my friends, because when I started making YouTube videos in around 2007, starting around 2006, 2007, when I was making videos, I started making friends on YouTube, and by chance, I don't know, maybe it's by fate, I don't know, but a lot of the friends I met on Skype and YouTube and stuff, that I talked to on Skype, they were big anime heads, and a lot of the friends I've met even more recently are huge anime fans. Neo GameSpark, Caleb Thompson, Ben Thomas, and the rest of a load of others that that's sitting in the back of my mind. But I talk to them quite regularly, and they're big anime fans, and they talk about anime constantly. Like they talk about stuff like Hunter x Hunter. I have no idea what that is. I might find out at some point. They talk about all sorts of stuff like localization issues, fan sub versus dubs, and all that other stuff. Like is Western dubs better than like the original Japanese dub? And it's a very complex web of stuff that they talk about, and like to the layman like me, like it's only very recently like I've been starting to like research like what these terms mean and what are they on about and stuff like that. And I think like, partly because of like all these discussions that take place on Skype and things, it's not just me but a lot of other people find, because not just because of that, but partly because of all these daunting discussions, a lot of people find anime a very daunting thing to get into. Like what anime do I start off with? This series sounds interesting, I don't know what to do. And for a long time I've been like avoiding it, really, I suppose. Mainly because of like not just because of the discussions, I found them quite daunting and quite difficult to comprehend, but a lot of the time, I guess perhaps by bad luck, but doing a bit of like trying to do my own personal research, like maybe what's a really good anime to start off with. That's just like what I search for, and like already you can just skim the surface of like a lot of really. I'm not saying everybody in the anime community is like this, but you do get a very vocal minority, let's just say, that's really aggressive and really insular and doesn't like anything. You know, if it's not like that, then they don't want to talk to you and stuff like that. Or if like someone, for example, says like. A series like Naruto's a really good one to start off with. Like for the layman, okay, I'll try Naruto. Then you get another guy saying, no, don't try Naruto, it's a pile of shit and stuff. And or maybe you should try Bleach. And you say, okay, I'll try Bleach then. And no, that's too mainstream. That's bullshit as well. And you get that sort of stuff all the time in these forums. And like because of that, you get a lot of people, newbies like me, pushed away. Like like, I don't want to deal with that shit, I'll stick with something else, you know. So it's unfortunately that sort of stuff has pushed me away for the longest time. But so I had to like sort of like do it off my own bat and take like a bit of a gamble, really, to try and because unfortunately the support network, I suppose, like to introduce new people to the genre of anime, of Japanese animation, is very limited. Like at least like the people who really want to help you out, like they're behind all the vocal minority, like just like to voice their like vitriol and stuff, and like it puts a lot of people off, unfortunately. I'll talk about that stuff another time, but that's mainly in more detail another time. But that's one of the main reasons why I had to like sort of. I'm not really gonna find any help really on my own, like through these forums and stuff, because it's just too daunting. So the way I did it was I thought like maybe to help people, maybe for good, for better or worse, I will relay my experiences with anime from an outsider's perspective, and perhaps help other people in my situation maybe get into the genre, and maybe from my point of view give you impressions, reviews and stuff like that of stuff I've sampled, and maybe this guy is like talking from another perspective, not like from a really hardcore perspective, but like from a complete beginner, rank beginner. So that's what we can call me. That's why I'm the Clueless Otaku. So that's why I've come up with the title. Hopefully you guys like it, and maybe people in my position might find these series of videos useful. If I do make more, hopefully people will like it. But anyway, so what I had to do was it's only in the last 2 months where I've been starting to properly watch anime again. I have watched a few bits and pieces. The thing that really triggered it was, I don't think they mind me telling you guys this, but a few months ago, Billy and Caleb, who we talk to quite regularly on Skype. I also do the What Are We Watching episodes with them. If you want to check them out, feel free to do so. I talk to them regularly on Skype, and I talk about anime all the time. And thought that what they did was, how I got back into it was quite bizarre. What they did was that they drew up this little stupid agreement where, like, before they went to this popular comic expo, MCM Expo, I believe it's called, down in London. for a couple of days, they drew up this agreement where they phoned me like where I was about to go before I was going to bed because I was tired. They rang me up on Skype. Skype was ringing, and they asked me to draw up this ludicrous agreement where, like, for example, I can't remember the series they were. Basically, Billy had to watch a series, like entire series of a particular series, and Caleb had to watch a whole run of a particular series before they got to Expo. And like, if either party didn't watch the series that they were given, like as a bet, then basically they one or the other got to punch the other one. I think Billy won. I think. I cannot remember the series exactly. I'll have to post them down below in the description if I can remember what. But basically, it was like a stupid little thing, and I felt like left out because like one was watching an anime and Caleb was watching something else, and I thought, oh, go on then, I'll bugger it. I'll watch an anime that you guys talk about an awful lot. So I watched a bit of a tiny little bit of JoJo Bizarre Adventure. Won't talk about this. I'll talk about those another time, but like because I don't really have enough information to relay. But I watched a bit of JoJo and I watched a bit of K-On!, which is a weird one. But I didn't really watch too much of either of them. I just a little bit of a sample. Then after that, once all those shenanigans had finished. Billy also like just randomly played me like a swear track of like an anime called Panty and Stocking, and he just like you might like this it's a funny thing. He gave me that like on the YouTube link on Skype, and I watched it. And it's basically just like practically all the F words thrown in there together in like a mashup video, and I thought, bugger it, I'll go for that one, and sure enough, that's what I did. So I've watched the entirety of Panty and Stocking Series 1. This is the Blu-ray and DVD box set. So this is my first proper review. And I thought, since I've actually watched an entire anime, I can actually do a video on it. And so, you know, a lot of that. So I thought I'd start off with this one. Since I've watched it all the way through, this would be good starting point for episode 1 of Clueless Otaku, and here I am right now. So yes, so I took the chance. I bought this off Amazon for £24, I think it was. Not too bad considering you get the Blu-ray edition and the DVDs all together in one. So if you don't have the Blu-ray, you're still covered with the DVDs. I'm glad I did watch it actually, because I think it's fantastic. I looked out. So like, I tried Panty and Stocking, and I thought it was a very funny, very rude, very crude anime, and it's the first one I've actually properly watched in some time all the way through. I've seen all 13 episodes, and that's it, and that's where it finishes. This came out in 2010, I believe, and unfortunately currently there is no sequel, but I'll talk about that in a bit. So I watched it all the way through, and so that's my first proper anime I've watched in ages, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Basically the whole plot around it is it's about as video gamey as it gets. Basically it's about these two angels who are not really angels. They're the least angelic creatures on the planet. Basically they've been kicked out of heaven for being very unangelic, and they've been kicked out of heaven and they've been sent to this purgatory which is known as Daunting City, and they have to work for this reverend called Garterbelt. That's to quote his full title, Panty and Stocking, and with Garterbelt, he's the reverend, who's this black reverend who's got this really strange and horrible fetish. That's the whole theme of the whole series, where it's very sexualized, it's very fetishized, but deliberately. It's just to shock you and like be completely crude and rude as it possibly can. Now, I am quite an immature person. I do enjoy stuff with like really incredibly crude humour, and there's a lot of crude humour in this. There's tons of swearing, there's the toilet humour's all over the place, there's tons of sex jokes in there. It's as crude as it gets, and like I thoroughly enjoy. I was giggling out a lot of the jokes, and I did a really good job with the localisation. So what I have to do, I'm going back and forth again. This is a pilot, so I will iron out the kinks in later episodes, but I'll try my best. So basically, Panty and Stocking, these two angels, are going to working for Garterbelt, and Garterbelt's this reverend in this little chapel in Daunting City, and then have to work for him in order to get back into heaven. And to get back into heaven, they have to accumulate what are known as heaven coins. So they have to get a certain amount of heaven coins to get back to purchase their way back into heaven. And the way that they get to these heaven coins is where Panty and Stocking have to go fight these ghosts in Daunting City, and a lot of them are machinations of like horrible things that have died, or people, or horrible things or horrible people that have happened in the past, and they've like reconfigured themselves into ghosts. You've got one where like it's the which is known as colloquially as the shit monster. That is in episode 1, where it's basically just a machination of like, I believe how they put it was like a load of plumbers who died in their own excrement. Let's just say, and that they all come, all the evil spirits come back together in like this huge piece of shit, basically. And that is the plot for episode 1, and Panty and Stocking have to like go and destroy it. After a while, they change the formatting. It's not just like Panty and Stocking fighting the ghosts. It's not every episode's like that. After a while, they bring in these two characters, like these two demon sisters, Scanty and Knee Socks, where these two demons who are like the antithesis of Panty and Stocking. And the ironic paradox about them is that they seem more prim and proper than the angels, Panty and Stocking. So that's the joke about it, because the demons these demon sisters don't swear, and they appear more prim and proper. They wear like very straight suits and stuff, like, whereas Panty and Stocking wear all this. Panty usually wears this like very high cut red dress, and Panty's like this goth girl who wears these like stripy stockings, and that's the joke about it. And then like these two sets of characters like spar against each other, and like later on the overarching plot thickens, where near the end, where it gets to a huge, they're left at a cliffhanger where like it ends in a completely strange and bizarre way, in a way that I didn't really expect, which is absolutely crazy. They did leave it open for a sequel, but I don't think, unfortunately, they are going to be making any more of these, because I believe a lot of the people who worked on this now have moved on to a different company, I believe called Trigger, if I remember correctly. I think Caleb told me about this the other day. But a lot of them that worked on the original people who worked on the show have gone on to other things and working on other projects. So it is a shame that it's ended on a cliffhanger. But at the same time, because it's only one series, it does have an advantage. It stands alone very strongly. I think it doesn't outstay its welcome. And if it turns out that they're not going to make any, they might make more episodes, but if they don't make more episodes, I'm happy as it is as a standalone package. And because of that, because it's a standalone thing, there's only 13 episodes. Like why they do it is they do two 10-minute segments and put them together. Apart from like the one episode, I think, which is like a two-parter, they put it all together because of the plot between the Demon Sisters and Panty and Stocking. But it's a very good series to start off with, in my opinion. The only thing I would say about it, of course, it depends on how would I recommend it to people. I think it's a fantastic little series. The way it's a very good one to start off with, especially mainly because of its length. You don't have to like invest an awful lot of time to get into it, because there's only 13 episodes, and once the 13 episodes are over, and that's it. There's a bunch of episodes, a bunch of extra stuff on the Blu-ray and DVDs if you want to watch them, but that's about it really, and that's it. It just stops there, and that was like 4 years ago when this came out, and it's unfortunate that we haven't seen any more episodes, because I really do enjoy it. It depends. Would you like it? It depends if you are really into your crude humour and stuff. Like if you like toilet humour and swearing and stuff like that, this is your bag. But if you're not really too keen on that, maybe I'd say give it a miss and maybe try and search for something else. But it depends on how prudish you are and whether you you can stomach like the sex jokes and stuff like that. What they've done, I think they've done a really good job. It's really bizarre actually the way that the package has turned out. In a really weird paradox. I don't know about the American version, but the UK version, the manga UK version, comes with both the Japanese dub and the English dub, which Funimation did. And the Japanese dub, I shouldn't say dub. The Japanese version with the Japanese dub is fairly different to the English version. What they did with the English version, they didn't just translate what the original Japanese script. What happened was when I think Gainax, the studio that made it, requested the Western team to make it more crude and make it even more crude than the original version, so they allowed them to revision it. Basically, it's not just a direct translation. What they did was change some of the references for the Western release, Western dub. They've added a bunch of Western references that will make more sense to Western audiences, and I think that they've done an excellent job with what they've got. So it turns out the English version, if you compare, like if you read like the Japanese, like the translations when you're watching the Japanese version, you can see some of the references were changed when it was released in the West, and in the Western version they had a whole bunch of Western references and stuff which weren't present in the original Japanese version. And I think it's a lot. Personally, I think the package is a lot stronger if you watch it with watch the English version in mind, because it's the original show is parodies Western. There's a lot of Western references in the series, so it's a lot of the episodes are like a parody of like a Western film or TV series. It takes the mick out of Transformers. Really funny episode where like the angels turn into Transformers and Megatron, and the Decepticons like start fighting each other, and they all get fucked up because of Panty and Stocking fighting each other, sibling rivalry. You've got one which is a parody of the Death Race film, which is a very funny episode. And there's also some other references which are a little bit more obscure that you might not have picked up upon, but there's little nuggets of references like strewn around the episodes, and the strength of it is when like the English team tightened up maybe some of the original references that the Japanese didn't quite hit the mark. They were what they were trying to parody or try and do a pastiche of, but didn't quite hit the mark. But what the English team they've done a really good job of like tightening up those references and adding in a few new ones which still fit within the original context of the original Japanese production, and they've done a really good job of that. So the references are really funny. The humour is very crude, but like you can tell that like the writing staff, I think only one person did the writing actually. She does the voice of Panty. She's the head writer at least. She did a really good job of adding some references in there that fit within the context and make sense, and that'll be really funny for the Western market. And it parodies an awful lot of stuff, considering there's only 13 episodes, and it's a really good fun thing to watch. If you like crude humour, you will really enjoy watching Panty and Stocking. I'm pretty sure a lot of you will find that if you like crude humour, you will be in for a treat. It's completely over the top. It's disgusting in places, but it just doesn't care, and that's the way to go about things. I really do enjoy crude humour and stuff like that. That shows that really, like, it will offend some people obviously or gross them out, but it doesn't care. It's just, this is a thing. I'm going to do it this way, and that's the way to do it. And Panty and Stocking completely runs with that concept. It's a very crude, very funny show, and I really enjoyed it. I'm really glad I picked it for my first ever, well not technically first ever review, because I've watched other things in the past obviously, but this is the first anime I've properly watched all the way through, and I can actually talk about it. It's of course to bear in mind it has an 18 certificate, as I've said, because it doesn't pull it doesn't pull any punches when it comes to like the sexual references and like the crudeness of it all, and like it's when it comes to, I don't know, in the show, when it comes to when the sex references come up and stuff, a lot of it is heavily implied. You don't actually get to see like body parts, I suppose. Like it deliberately, it knows it's fetishistic, but it deliberately teases the audience, and it knows people who are like really into this sort of thing, like in a fetish sort of way. It takes the mick out of them effectively by teasing like with the way that like a lot of the shots are done and stuff, like where the transformation sequence of Panty and Stocking, when they equip their weapons, that the whole when like Panty and Stocking fighting the ghosts, they have these weapons. Panty basically takes off takes off her panties and turns it, spins it around her hand and turns it into a revolver, and that's her weapon. And Stocking's weapon is she takes off one of her stockings, or two sometimes, called stripes, and it turns into like a pair of samurai swords, and that's her weapon. And with the transformation sequence, when like they're taking off taking off the clothing, like Panty, there's a shot where Panty, you can see her face, but you can see she's naked, but you can't actually see the body. It's like a black silhouette, and when the halo comes down, she pulls the halo down. The camera it's done in such a very clever way. It's done so fast, so you can't actually see the parts revealed. So like once the halo's like reaches the ground, she's fully clothed again, albeit in like, again, fetishistic, angelic clothing, as is Stocking, and it's all that sort of stuff. And then it's really cool where like the animation style changes for those sequences. The animation style overall, it's kind of like an inverse of Avatar, I suppose. That's the best way to describe it. You can tell it's an anime, like it's a Japanese production, but you can definitely tell like the show's creators were heavily influenced by Western productions. The one in particular, I think was referenced was a series called Drawn Together. I haven't seen it myself, but it's a very crude show that's got had a cult following on. Was it Cartoon Network? I can't exactly remember. But anyway, that show, after 3 seasons, was cancelled, but it had a really cult following, and that show had an impact on this show. Panties, I suppose the best way to describe it, like, it's not a traditional anime in the way it's drawn, the way that the animation style is. You can tell it's very Western influenced. So it's definitely an anime, but it's probably about, I don't know, I can't give you the exact figures, but obviously, it's a subjective thing. But the animation, I suppose, the best way I can describe it is it's 70% Japanese with 30% hint of Western flavour, if that makes sense. Like the style of the shapes and the drawings and the backgrounds are very Western. It's Japanese, but it's very Westernised. And as I was saying, it's more of an inverse of Avatar, where it's the other way around. You can tell it's an American cartoon, but you can tell it's heavily influenced by Japanese animation, the way that like the characters are drawn. It's very difficult to pinpoint like the exact features of what's like taken from where. We can definitely tell that there's a bit of crossbreeding going on, and Panty and Stocking is like a reverse influence of Avatar in the way that where it draws its influences from for the style of animation. And as far as I'm aware, nothing else quite like it looks like this show. It's a very cool looking show. It's sort of like, the best way I can describe it is like, I suppose it's like American graffiti, where like where we see like these professional graffiti artists with like these angular and smooth shapes, like they're like smooth together, and like the colours really kick out. It's sort of like that, like graffiti, but it like moves around. It's a very, very cool look. I really enjoy it. It's really cool to look at. It's just a shame. I don't know whether this is a problem with the original master elements or whatever, but on the Blu-ray release, it sort of looks, I don't know, it has like a very, I don't know, I guess it's because of the way it was mastered, I suppose, or what the original master elements, I'm not entirely sure. But considering it's a very, very recent release in 2010, I'm not, is it Flash or is it hand-drawn? I'm not sure, but the way that they did it is, the Blu-ray doesn't look that great, to be honest. It has like it looks fine, don't get me wrong, the animation looks really, really cool, but the way that it's been mastered or processed or what have you, has a very sort of soft and squishy sort of look, and considering it's a very recent sort of show, you would expect the colours to kick out an awful lot more, but they don't. They sort of look a little slightly muted. It's not that the quality's fine, don't get me wrong, it's just like you expect the colours to kick out at you a bit more. I don't know whether it's a problem with like the way that it was mastered or whatever. I don't really know on that, but it's certainly like the best way to describe it is like if you want to have a look at the Blu-ray review forums, like look at the video quality section of this particular Blu-ray, and it makes absolute sense. Like the colours don't look. You expect it's just like you expect them to kick out more, considering like it's a very recent production, not like for example MLP or something, for like where the colours like kick out at you, like the really bright pastel colours. You expect something like this to really kick out with this like really over the top like fonts they use and like the graphics they use and stuff, because it's a really cool looking show. It's just a shame that like it has like this strange sort of very soft filmic grainy look that doesn't quite look right for a show like this. But you know, maybe it's just me, but that's just my personal view of like what it looks like. It's just you expect it to, you know, stand out a bit more, but it's a bit strange. Audio is absolutely fine. Since 5.1, it sounds fantastic. The voiceover work is brilliant. When the voice actors do all the swears and stuff, it's absolutely fantastic. It's the way that they did it, and it's a really cool package. The behind the scenes stuff are also awesome. It's nice to see they're thrown in some, if you're really into how they did like the ghost explosions, where like once they kill a ghost, Panty and Stocking, like it cuts off to like this real life statuette of a ghost, and then like how it explodes, and just to be like mix it up a little bit, you can actually see like how these explosions take place and stuff. That's just one of the many extras. And you've also got like the Japanese and the American people who worked on the show talk about their experiences of like making the show, and the voice actors talk about like their favourite bits and stuff. So there's lots of really cool stuff in this box set. So if it's a really nice package, and I thoroughly enjoyed Panty and Stocking. I really enjoyed it. It was really funny, and I'm glad I took the risk, because like I just thought, I could have just downloaded anything really and not paid anything, but I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. Get Panty and Stocking. This looks interesting, and I wasn't disappointed. I thought it was really funny. It's crude. It's rude. It's vulgar. And I laughed quite a lot of the episodes, and I really enjoyed like the attention to detail that they did with the pop culture references. It's a really cool show. It's basically a parody of what a lot of like Westerners think what anime is, but at the same time, it parodies. It parodies itself in a way. Really, it's like its own self-referential humour, I suppose. Like it's an anime that parodies itself and other animes. Effectively, the medium itself. It's like it knows it's over the top. It knows it's crude. It knows it's all that other stuff, and it just doesn't care. It does its own thing. It's its own standalone thing. It's really cool. And after 13 episodes, it's that. That's that. And it's a nice standalone package. And for people who, like in my position, don't know what to watch for a Thursday thing, you like toilet humour, go with that one. I think Panty and Stocking is a very funny show, and I'm glad I took the risk and actually watched it. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to my thoughts. Do let me know what you think of the format, if you think there's a few changes I can make. I am going to be changing maybe a few things. It depends. I don't know how often I'll be releasing these, but as I say, this is the pilot. I'm still working out the kinks and whatnot. Not every episode will be a review. If I do make more, I might do some discussion pieces in general. It might be a short review, it might be a long review. I'll do all sorts of bits and pieces. It's just general discussion from a person who doesn't really know an awful lot about anime, but is like getting back into it in absolutely ages. So hopefully you found this video useful and or entertaining. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll see you guys next time.